To race 2 for the ADAC GT4 Germany. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Lausitzring here in Germany. It's a glorious sunny day. Well, at least it has been up until now. The cars are out on the grid as we get ready for the 4th race of the season. And just as things are about to get going, the rain has started to fall. You can see from your graphic there, the start has been delayed. It is going to be, well, it is declared a wet race, which means that the teams, if they choose to, are able to put the treaded tyres onto the cars to replace the slicks. It's a tough decision because, yes, it's a bit of a shower at the moment, but from what I can see, it looks as though it's passing fairly quickly. We had some monumental thunderstorms yesterday. It certainly affected the DTM race. Didn't affect the GT4 race because we were earlier in the calendar, earlier in the timetable yesterday. You can see from the graphic that the race will start behind the safety car. Well, that is good news because what we don't want on this slippery surface is all of the cars charging into turn 1 on this circuit and ending up in a big heap in the corner. So good decision from our race directing team to start this race behind the safety car. I do feel as though this rain is going to clear fairly quickly, and I can't look. I'm just looking out of the window, and it looks as though the rain is covering all of the circuit, but it is fairly light, and I think it's going to clear quite quickly. I expect the cars to be starting on the wet weather tyres, but we may well see a race where tyre changes are brought into the equation if the track starts to dry out. It will be an exciting race. The grid is pretty jumbled up. If it's half as exciting as yesterday, then, well, we're in for a bit of a treat, really. It was a cracking race yesterday, race 3 of the season. We saw Gabriel Piana and Michael Schrey continuing their clean sweep of the races, winning 3 out of 3, but the result does not tell you the full story. And especially in the latter part of the race, it was a challenge from Enzo Juliet on the last lap where he made contact with Michael Schrey. It was a compelling battle. He had made a challenge on the penultimate lap and had briefly got in front of the BMW, the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW, being driven by Michael Schrey, but he couldn't get it slowed down into turn 1, and Schrey was able to get back in front and then into the very last lap, at the start of the very last lap. Bit of a dive bomb maneuver. I think even Enzo Juliet would agree with you. It was a bit of a dive bomb. He had, well, in his opinion, nothing to lose. He went for it, made contact with Schrey. Schrey went spinning. Juliet was able to carry on. He crossed the line first, but picked up a 15-second time penalty as a result of that contact. And that relegated him down into 5th place. And Enzo, to his credit, issued an apology to both his co-driver, Mark Di Fulgencio, who had started from pole position in the car, and also to the team at BWT Muka Motorsport. I think they were all pretty forgiving about it, to be quite honest, because this is what racing is all about. It's seizing the opportunity, and if it had stuck, it would have been something of a heroic win. But as things turned out, it ended up that Michael Schrey and Gabriel Piana were able to take their 3rd win of the season, a perfect score so far. In 2nd place, it was Leighton Fury and Max Rosam, and they had started in the mid-order of the pack and had come through to finish in that 2nd place, and that was a very, very solid performance from this duo. Had it not been for some very bad luck at Oschersleben, would be further up the championship than they are now. They had a non-finish and a 5th place at Oschersleben. They got a 2nd place yesterday. Talking to Leighton Fury earlier today, his 11th place starting position. He feels as though he can make good progress from there. He's carrying a 10-kilogram success ballast as a result of that 2nd place. And Gabriel Piana and Michael Schrey are carrying 15 kilograms as a result of the win yesterday. But they have got to come through from 15th place on the grid. A difficult qualifying session for Michael Schrey. So he's in the back part of the grid. I would say the the bottom third of the grid. Well, we saw yesterday Gabriel Piana, he came muscling through in the opening lap, took about 4 cars and was challenging at the front pretty well straight away. But it's going to be hard work in what is effectively the carbon fibre zone. Headlines today in qualifying have gone to Finn Zulauf. He took his second ever pole position in ADAC GT4 Germany for Avia WNS Motorsport. That Porsche has looked very dialed in. You add to that Finn Zulauf, who seems to enjoy this circuit. He won here in race 1 last year at this event. He also was a winner at Hockenheim last year, so he is looking for his 3rd win. He has Josef Knopp alongside him, who's his co-driver. Josef Knopp, who's looking for his 1st win in ADAC GT4 Germany, took his first podium at Oschersleben. He was on the podium again yesterday. He had to actually leave the podium because he was not feeling well. And that's a story in itself, because although we've got a bit of rain falling, it has been very hot, as always seems to be the case when we come to the Lausitzring. The sun shines. There's Luca Bosco, by the way. He told me with great authority before this race that it wasn't going to rain. So you can go and have a word with him if you're complaining about the weather. Yes, now where was I? Josef Knopp, who finished on the podium yesterday, he ended up in the medical centre, was not feeling at all well, and the heat really getting to the drivers. There's kind of a lot of concrete around here, seems to hold in the heat. I think Luca Engsler earlier on today summarised it. He just said it's never not hot here at the Lausitzring, and the heat was certainly having its effect on the drivers. And it is an endurance here. This hour-long race, it's hard work as we look at one of the new up-and-coming stars, Max Tarillion, in the More Than Razzoon, or Racing More Than Racing Razzoon Porsche 718 Cayman. He's one of the newcomers to the sport. There is the aforementioned Alex Connor in car number 10. Pleased to say has recovered, of starting in 10th, having recovered from that issue yesterday in car 85. He's sharing driving duties with Jan Philip Springhob, and they have proven to be very quick indeed. The 3rd place yesterday means that they are carrying an additional 5 kilograms of success penalty for this race. As we also look there at Leighton Fury, the aforementioned driver from South Africa. He is the current driver who is the current champion of the BMW M2 Cup, and he comes into this championship with a lot of talent and a lot of hopes. Philip Viskersen, and we've seen his brother Moritz Viskersen in ADAC GT4 Germany over the years. Good to see Philip here on the grid as well. There are about 45,000 fans squeezed into, well, I say squeezed, it is a massive circuit here at the Lausitzring as we look at Jan Marszalkowski in the Zakspeed ESM, who lines up 13th on the grid. This crowd here have been thoroughly entertained this weekend and are likely to be entertained again by ADAC GT4 Germany, because this formula always entertains, and one of the real highlights of the ADAC calendar. Right, confirmed the race will start. We saw that earlier at 15:19. That's in about 15 seconds time. So the cars will start on their formation lap here at the Lausitzring. It is a circuit that is 3.478 kilometers around. That equates to about 2.16 miles with 12 turns, 7 of them to the left, 5 to the right. The driver's running in the anti-clockwise direction, which is fairly unusual in this day and age. We're located in Klettwitz, which is in the state of Brandenburg in East Germany, about 100 kilometers south of Berlin and about 63 kilometers from the very beautiful Dresden. It is a fairly technical track. Takes a little bit of taming. It's also pretty bumpy, and a lot of the drivers commenting on how bumpy it is. Overtaking opportunities. Well, the best one is at the top of your screen there. That's at the end. Oh, and there's a car that has spun already. Was that looked like the number 10 car? I think it might have been Denny Burnt. Yes, it was. So Denny Burnt, who has discovered quite how slippery this circuit is. Now, he's managed to get going again before the rest of the pack passed him, so he'll be able to take his position. A great qualifying from him. We just see just lighting up the tyres and the back end stepping out, but he will be able to retake his 4th place on the grid. A really solid qualifying session from him. That's a heart-sinking moment. If ever never there was one. You're on the formation lap and you suddenly see the scenery spinning around you. Ferdinand Winter, who was behind, would have also got a bit of a warning there as to how slippery it is in a very similar car. But Denny Berndt, who's another of the pilots that comes from the BMW M2 Cup last year, sharing driving duties with Simon Birch, the driver from Denmark, who has proven to be very, very useful indeed. He's also racing in the GT2 Championship in a KTM Crossbow, which is a very different beast indeed. Right, safety car is remaining out at the moment. We haven't had notification whether it's coming in. Finn Zulauf doing a bit of drifting. Car 84 is under investigation for infringing the 3-minute board on the grid. So that is Lachlan Robinson. They've had nothing but bad luck this season so far, along with his co-driver Matthias Salonen. So safety car remains out at the moment, and it may well be that our race stewards decide to allow the cars just to circulate a bit to get some heat into the tyres and to try and shift some of the water from the track. You can see that the clock is running. The race, which is 60 minutes plus 1 lap. I'm peering out of the window and I can't see any rain falling now, so I do believe the rain has stopped. So we may well start to get a dry line fairly quickly, but it is very slippery out there, and a good move not to just set these off side by side into that first corner. Turn 1, I was talking about that just now. It's at the end of a very long pit straight. It uses part of the tri-oval here at Lausitzring, the massive tri-oval circuit. Out of turn 12, well, in fact, out of turn 11, we join tri-oval. We go round the big bank turn along the pit straight into turn 1, but that is a real pinch point, a sharp left-hand turn. It's a little bit downhill, a little bit off camber, and it narrows down. You can get about 7 or 8 of these cars side by side down the straight. You can get them side by side, 2 abreast at best through turn 1, so it is very tricky. Then a fairly windy section, then out back onto the tri-oval on the exit of turn 5 for a little short little squirt along that straight, and then into the centre section again at turn 6. You can see the notification that the safety car is in on this lap. So hopefully with the cars in single file, we will be able to do something about getting everybody around the first corner. So we got Finn Zulauf on pole position, Enzo Julier in second place, someone who was the controversial star of yesterday, but Henrik Still, who has been so quick this year, in third place. Denny Berndt, well, we know that number 10's a bit slippery. Ferdinand Winter, 5th, and then Alon Gabet in 6th place. We've got a great onboard shot from Enzo Julier, so he's going to be hoping to see the Porsche on one side as he hopes to see a gap in towards turn 1. But Finn Zulauf, a pretty wily driver. He knows how to win in ADAC GT4 Germany. And with the clock ticking, out of turn 12 we come. We are racing. This is race 4 of a 12-race season for ADAC GT4 Germany. The driver's just tiptoeing in towards turn 1. A fairly solid start from Finn Zulauf. Enzo Julier in second place, coming under attack from Henrik Still, a relatively experienced driver looking to the inside of the Mercedes for that second place, hanging the back end out. He, along with his co-driver, Max Kronberg, were winners last year in that car. They know how to do it, but now out back onto the tri-oval, that little short squirt of power out of turn 5 towards turn 6. Through the murk and through the mist, windscreen wipers going, everybody very sensibly deciding not to do anything too kamikaze, making up places on the opening lap. You can see cars drifting around the corner. This is the fight for second place. It's Henrik Still in the number 30 Avia WNS Motorsport Porsche. It's another one of the Avia WNS cars leading the way. They are very dialed in, and the distinctive BWT BMW Team Motorsport Mercedes in that second place. That second place becomes the third place because Henrik Still goes through. Now, Enzo Julier perhaps deciding that discretion is the better part of valor on this occasion. Choose your battles wisely. Allow Henrik Still up the road. When this track starts to dry out, and I believe it will start to dry out fairly quickly, we may well see the pace of these cars varying quite considerably as the track changes. Mikael Schrey is in 16th place, championship leader, the driver along with his co-pilot Gabriel Piano, who has won every race this year so far. It's going to be a fairly tricky 53.5 minutes ahead of them in the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW. It has crossed our mind they could end up winning every race this year, but certainly there's a lot of quick drivers around them, proving that that is not necessarily going to be the case. Jan Marszałkowski, well, he's made a fairly good start from the 13th place on the grid. He's still in 13th place in the Aston Martin that is prepared by Zach Speed ESM. Great to have Zach Speed back on the grid in the ADAC GT4 Germany this year. They know how to prepare a car. They've had a bit of work to try and get their head around that Aston Martin. We're normally accustomed to seeing Zach Speed with Mercedes as their power, so it's been a bit of a learning curve, but they're slowly getting on top of it. And Jan Marszałkowski, along with Philip Gogolok, who's been this weekend, being coached by Mike David Ortmann, who is the reigning champion in ADAC GT4 Germany. There is Luca Bosco, the man who's responsible for this wet weather, in 9th place, and behind him is Alex Connor. So the cars running in single file at the moment, looking at a replay as we came round to receive the green flag, the start of the race, and really good to see no heroics here. There was quite a lot of damage, quite a lot of bodywork hanging off after yesterday's race, and good to see all the cars making it around the first corner. So Finn Zulauf is the driver that's leading the way. It's 1.2 seconds. The other of the BMW Team Motorsport Mercedes just taking a very wide line. That is the aforementioned Luca Bosco into turn 1. For many of these drivers, it's their first time this week. In 7th place, that's Max Tarillion in the number 20 car, just sliding the car. Enzo Julier, that was the sight of Henrik Still, slotting through into that second place, setting after Finn Zulauf, and that was one of the Wimmer Wirth cars, the 71 car of David Lackner, and he who is sharing with Philip Dietrich. Now, has he kept it out of the barriers? Philip Dietrich will be keeping his fingers crossed. Well, a little kiss of the barrier. He's been able to rejoin, so he's at the back of the pack, but it's going to feel like a bit of a long afternoon. So penalty lap for car 84. You can see that then. So Lachlan Robinson, well, his afternoon, his season so far, then a 16th and a 21st at Oschersleben, a non-finish yesterday involved in dramas, and Matthias Salonen, his co-pilot, the drive through the penalty box is going to add what is effectively about 5 seconds to their lap. Right, there is Leighton Fury in the number 46 car. No, it isn't. It's Max Rosam in the number 46 car, who is sharing driving duties with Leighton Fury, and he is pushing his way forwards in past Philip Viskersen in the number 66 car. So Philip Viskersen running side by side. It is BMW versus BMW out along the pit straight towards turn 1. It is a drag race. Jan Marszałkowski's got a very good view of this, perhaps fancying a little challenge himself, but too far back. On the inside is Max Rosam. No, it isn't. It's Viskersen on the inside. Max Rosam has to relinquish that position, so Viskersen at the front at the moment of that particular battle. That is 11th place. Alex Connor a little up the road to them. Now Jan Marszałkowski having a little look at Max Rosam in front of him. Max Rosam in the FK Performance Prepared BMW. Now Rosam having another run at Philip Viskersen into turn 6 on the inside. Viskersen around on the outside, but he's squeezed by Max Rosam. Can he get it slowed down? Yes, he can. He steals the position away. Now Jan Marszałkowski looking to follow on his shirt tails. Max Rosam going wide in the corner, trying to carry the momentum around. Now this is a challenge for the lead. Finn Zulauf has suddenly found an identical Porsche. His teammate, who comes through on the inside, Henrik Still, now taking the lead of this race. The relatively experienced Henrik Still mastering these wet conditions. Finn Zulauf sees the yellow, white and black Porsche through on the inside out of turn 12. On to the pit straight. Now, can he challenge? Can he do anything to get that position back? As in towards turn 1 they come. The two identical cars running first and second. New race leader, Henrik Still, into turn 1. Under braking we come. So second place is now Finn Zulauf. Enzo Julier in third place. Denny Burnt in that fourth place after the scare on the formation lap. Let's have another look there. Henrik Still hanging the back end out around the outside and sweeping the position away. Finn Zulauf not putting up too much of a fight. He has a little look on the wide outside, but thinks the better of it and slots into that second place. Of course, all this could change in a bit, because 25 minutes into the race, when the clock strikes 35, there will be a pit window that will open. That window will remain open for 10 minutes, and during that 10-minute period, every car will need to visit the pit lane for a mandatory stop and driver change. Mikael Schrey is further back, because that's the other of the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMWs. That's Tim Reiter, the identical liveried car, now challenging for position. So Tim Reiter in car number 3. He's behind Maxi Tarillion, and behind them is Luca Bosco in the pink BWT Mercedes. So at the front of that queue at the moment, Maxi Tarillion in 7th place. Tim Reiter behind him, and it was Tarillion who'd found the route past Reiter to take the position away. So Tarillion in 7th. Now Luca Bosco to the inside of Reiter as well. Out of turn 12 they come, up onto the trioval, onto the pit straight, and Luca Bosco relegating that BMW a position. The identical BMW of Mikael Schrey still down in 16th place at the moment. So Reiter doesn't look to have the legs to come back at Luca Bosco into turn 1. He has the outside line, but he's got to get it slowed down, and he tucks in behind the Mercedes. In the background, the 85 car of Alex Connor. Podium finish yesterday, getting into that battle as well, relegating Tim Reiter another position if he possibly can. He sees the gap on the inside. The inside becomes the outside. He's trying to go the long way round. Into turn 5 they come, and along that little stretch of power, he comes sweeping around the outside. Tim Reiter has a little look to the inside, but can't make anything stick there. So Luca Bosco has closed in on Maxi Tarillion in that 7th place. Well ahead of them is Alain Gabet. You can see him just at the top of the picture in 6th place. But this is a great little fight that's going on for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, all running together. Just behind them is Max Rosam, looking to push his way forwards. He's broken clear of the battle of the queue that was behind him. So about 15 minutes of this race has been run, and we are looking at the battle for 7th place. Maxi Tarillion, new to the ADAC GT4 Germany this year. Luca Bosco, who along with his co-driver Matis Plushkel have been so impressive in the 3 races that we've seen them so far this year, continuing to impress. Also Jan Marszałkowski a little bit further back than he is used to, and suddenly Viscursion is there as well. So the fighting is continuing at the front and at the back. Well, not so much at the front now, because Henrik Still has opened up quite a gap from Finn Zulauf. You get the feeling that Finn Zulauf is not enjoying this weather. Enzo Julier in the number 18 car has Denny Burnt for company just behind him in the Porsche. The Porsches just look to be enjoying this wet weather a lot more than the other cars. So it's only Enzo Julier in the Mercedes is the only driver driver in that lead battle that's not a Porsche, then we have to look back to Luca Bosco in the other of the Mercedes-AMG cars that's behind them. So a challenge for position. Max Rosam with William Tregurtha at the wheel. William Tregurtha has only ever finished first, second or third when he's raced here at the Lausitzring. Well, unfortunately, that record got broken yesterday because they were in all sorts of dramas, and he never really got to stretch his legs in that car. Trying to make up for it today as he challenges for position, and that's the 85 car that's gone spinning. That is Alex Connor. Podium finish from yesterday and a championship challenger. Alex Connor contact the CV Performance Group Mercedes is into the gravel trap, and he may not be going anywhere. This may well bring out at the very least a full course yellow, or indeed it may well bring out a safety car. Connor, who was in 10th place, is now dropping down the order. We've got the BMW peeling off into the pits as well, and this is not a scheduled pit stop. The full course yellow is out, so the cars will be brought down to a pace of no more than 80 kilometers an hour. You can see the gravel trap is doing exactly what it's meant to do. So let's have a look here. So he moved to the inside, to the outside, but it was the number 10 car of Denny Byrne who was also making his move on Enzo Juliet. The two cars get together. The Mercedes is propelled off into the gravel trap and is going no further. Jan Marszalkowski, this was his view under the full course yellows. He went to the inside of Tommy Rackle. Maybe a little bit of contact there. Jan Marszalkowski never scared to get his elbows out. Perhaps a little bit frustrated not to have as much pace as he would want. And into the pits comes Philip Viskirchen. Was showing in 10th place, but into the pits. Looks like it is for a tyre change. So, of course, these cars are running on wet weather tyres. So are they changing to slicks, or is it a flat tyre? Well, Alex Connor is relevant to him. He is stranded in the gravel trap. Had that podium yesterday along with Jan-Philipp Springhoff. He is going no further at the moment. We do have all the teams waiting out in the pit lane with slick tyres. The track has been drying out. Just looking out of the window, there is a dry line along the pit straight. So it may have been the Philip Viskirchen into the pits. It may have been a strategic change onto slick tyres for ME Motorsports. The teams are very restricted on how many people are allowed to work on the car. Just 2 people, so it is hard work. This is not a performance pit stop, but it's going to feel like a performance pit stop for the ME Motorsport team. So looks like they are going to get some slicks on that car, and with the full course yellow out, of course, everybody is circulating a lot slower. Not many others that I can see who are following on that lead. Most of the other cars, all of the other cars so far staying out on track as Alex Connor walks away from his car. So this is a bit of a gamble for the number 66, the Philips Viskirchen. So he's out on track, and I do believe that is slick tyres on that car. Well, we'll let you know soon. We couldn't really see with our monitors what was being put on, but I think it was slicks. Incident between car 55 and 77 in turn 11 under investigation. So that's Jan Marszalkowski and Tommy Rackle. We saw that little bit of contact, and that is under investigation by our race stewards. We'll keep one eye on Philip Viskirchen and on his lap times just to see what has occurred with him. Meanwhile, everybody else stays out on track. Full course yellow, the gaps are meant to stay the same. It is Henrik Still who leads the way. We see Alex Connor's car just being pulled away, and you can see the damage to the left rear of that Mercedes. Right into the pits, car 20 as well. And that looks like slick tyres going on to the Maxi Tarillion car as well. So the team's getting to work. This is going to feel quite painful, particularly if you're used to watching DTM performance stops, because as I've already mentioned, you can't just rock out a whole load of people and a load of jacks. It's a bit of a two-man show. But getting onto slick tyres at this point, as the track is drying out, may be a bit of a move that could propel the drivers up towards the top of the standings. And if you're towards the back of the pack, and Maxi Tarillion, well, he was in 9th place, so he wasn't that far back. But for those towards the back of the pack, it may well be a gamble worth taking, because you might say, well, I've got nothing to lose. So, lots to be thinking about. This is a head-scratcher, this one. Here we go again. That was Alex Connor getting together with the aforementioned Maxi Tarillion, and it did look as though he was unsighted to Tarillion. The two cars made contact, and it may well have done a bit of damage to that car. Well, they're still changing the tyres on it, and he will now rejoin with a set of slick tyres on board. So we'll make a note of that. Car 20 and car 66 now with dry weather tyres. Everybody else I can see is on slick tyres. It's a brave person who puts slick tyres, and you can see the damage. So it may have been the deflated tyre, just means that it was the option to change them anyway, because he was going to have to come in to repair that flat tyre. So we'll see how this all shakes out. The car's still circulating at absolutely no more than 80 kilometers an hour. It's Henrik still at the front of the pack. There is Alex Connor, the driver who had that 3rd place yesterday. Right, we have notification. The full course yellow is about to finish. It said in 10 seconds. Well, that was 10 seconds ago. So we are back up to green flag. And it was a driver into the, looked like into the pit lane. A bit of contact almost going in there. Quarter a napping. So we're back under full speed. But Henrik still looked like he might have made a bit of contact with Philip Viskersen. In all of that, it looks like Finn Zulauf has taken the lead. So while Henrik still got together with Philip Viskersen, who may be on slick tyres, it's allowed Finn Zulauf to retake the lead. We're looking at it there, and there was that contact, almost put him back into the pit lane. I thought it was going into the penalty box at one point, but he keeps it pointing in the right direction. But a bit of contact there, and it's allowed Finn Zulauf to sneak around the outside. Meanwhile, Jan Marszalkowski has been told he has to fall back behind Tommy Rackle. So our race stewards have decided that that bit of contact that there was between them was unjustified, and that he needs to give that position back. At the moment, that was a 12th place. The position has now been changed. Rackle back into 12th. Marszalkowski is going to have to do it all again. That is the aforementioned Jan Marszalkowski fighting at the wheel of the Zakspeed ESM, and the hand thrown up in the air says it all really about how he feels that decision reflects on his driving. He feels as though that was possibly a little bit unfair. You can see the car still sliding into turn 1. So it's Finn Zulauf leading the way, having got past Henrik Still when he made contact with Philip Viskersen. 1st and 2nd running together. Enzo Julier in 3rd place in the background. So Finn Zulauf maybe, as the track is starting to dry out, maybe gaining a bit more confidence. Very important these two cars don't get together. They're both Avia W&S Motorsports, so in theory, they're in the same team, but they're probably driving very much for themselves at the moment. Max Kronberg, the co-driver at Henrik Still, is in the Trophy Championship, but Henrik Still, the second next year that he's in that car, he's used to driving it. That is the case of Finn Zulauf as well. He was in the seat of car 31 last year. With a new co-pilot this year, though, you can see the debris out on the track where that contact was made. Drivers need to be careful not to run over that. That would be very easy to cut a tyre. We've had no notification that the pit window will be delayed. So in about 20 seconds, the pit window is going to be open. It'll be open for 10 minutes. And during those 10 minutes, every car will need to visit the pit lane for a mandatory stop and a driver change. You can see that the two stoppers that we had already, that won't count as a mandatory stop. Maxi Tarillion and Philip Viskersen are running in 21st and 22nd place. And they will still need to come in for that mandatory stop and driver change. Right, Finn Zulauf fending off Hendrik Still. Hendrik Still has a little look to the outside. Finn Zulauf on the dry line at the moment, but there will be the risk that these wet weather tyres are going to start to overheat once the track dries out. But still, it's Finn Zulauf at the front at the moment. Right into the pits comes Jan Marszałkowski. He's had enough for this weekend. He's going to be handing the Aston Martin over to Philip Gogolok. Also in, Max Rozan. He's going to be handing over to Leighton Fury. Mikael Schreyer is in as well. Gabriel Piano will be at the seat of that car. William Tregurtha will be handing over to Emil Yerdrum, the driver who was so quick in quali yesterday, but was involved in dramas during the race, ended up with a lot of damage. He'll be wanting to make up for that today. You can see the tyre changes are taking place as part of the pit stop, so doing the two things at the same time, strategically very good. Philip Gogolok at the wheel, so getting the slick tyres onto the cars. I'm just looking, car 20 under investigation for a pit stop under full course yellow. Well, we saw that. Now the rules, I thought, were that they could change from wet tyres to dry tyres, but maybe not under the full course yellow. Right, our race leader coming into the pits, Finn Zulauf, is in, as is Hendrik Still, as is Enzo Ulier, as is Denny Byrne. You just know these are all going to be changing over to slick tyres as they come into the pits. It's the perfect time to do it. Well, there's confirmation. That's the slick tyres that belong to the number 30 car, being driven by Hendrik Still. Max Kronberg getting ready to jump in. There is a minimum pit stop time from pit entry to pit exit of 95 seconds for each of these cars, so that does give them a bit of breathing room. I think changing four wheels with just two people is going to be a bit of a challenge in 95 seconds, but we'll see about that. There is the car that was in the lead. At the moment, Alon Gabay is our race leader. Tim Reiter is still out on track, as is Lachlan Robertson, but you can see most of the cars have now come into the pits, getting ready to change onto slick tyres. As far as I'm aware, nobody started the race on slick tyres. I believe everybody was on wet tyres. Well, we'll find that one out in a bit when the pit window sequence is over. We've got just under 7.5 minutes of the pit window, but you get the feeling most of the field are going to have been in for their stop. The Avia WNS team, the two cars butted up together, the crews having to work hard on the cars. They were being watched by the ADAC stewards and officials to make sure that nothing is contravened in terms of number of people working on the cars and anything that can and cannot be adjusted. So the drivers now, new tyres fitted, dry tyres fitted, now releasing the cars off the jacks, and it looks like they've done it within the time that is allotted to them, because they're waiting. They'll want to hit the line of the pit exit when the clock strikes 0 and it's counting down. You can see, well, actually it's counting up now, so no, they have gone well over the 95 seconds. So Finn Zulauf, you can see how much time they've lost. So it's 95 seconds plus what is going on the graphic, so plus the 30.5 seconds. But the pace that they will gain from putting on the slick tyres, in theory, will be worth it. Car 30, a penalty lap for pushing car 66. That is Max Kronberg, who's taken over from Henrik Still. The yellow, black and white car is going to have to visit the penalty box. He does it straight away. We saw that contact with Philip Viskersen, and the stewards have decided he needs to visit the penalty box. It's a box that is 200 metres long. He has to pass through it at no more than 50 kilometres an hour. He does that, effectively adding 5 seconds onto his lap time. It's allowed the 31 car, which now has Josef Knopp at the wheel, to break clear. There is Finn Zulauf, job done. So with tyre changes, pit stops, driver changes, this has the potential to completely jumble this field. At the moment, it's Alon Gabay who's out on track. He's leading from Tim Reiter. Neither have been in for their mandatory stop and driver change. Now you can see Reiter is in. Gianni van der Kratz is in to the pits. He's had a fairly quiet afternoon. Handing over to Mo Ritson. The FK Performance team have had to work worked incredibly hard on that car. A lot of damage over the last couple of days, but they are optimistic of getting some points in this race as Alain Gabet now peels off into the pit lane. So the driver who was leading the race, he will be getting ready to hand over to Tannoy Neumann, the Bulgarian driver, another of the many Avia WNS Motorsport Porsches. We got 4 of them on the grid, and we are very grateful for that. Great to have them here. The Porsches particularly dialed in. So Gianni van der Kratz yet to pit, so he will take the lead of the race. Car 66, we saw him pitting earlier, but that wasn't for the mandatory stops. That's Philipp Viskersen, so he'll need to come in again for his driver change. Maxi Tarillon in 4th place. He will need to come over to hand it over to Diego Stifter, and David Lackner will need to come in. He will be handing over to Philip Dietrich. So wet tyres off. I think we can safely say those are nice slick tyres that are going to be going on. Of the drivers who have pitted, Josef Knopp is at the front at the moment. The 2 Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMWs running together on the track. So Gabriel Piana and Leon Wasserther. Piana in car number 2. Wasserther in car number 3. Gabriel Piana continues his record of having taken part in every single race that has ever been held in the ADAC GT4 Germany. A remarkable feat. He is the champion from 2021. And he has won every race this season too. He's got his work cut out to do it from there. 9th place, but he's got 28 minutes plus 25 seconds plus 1 lap in which to work his way forwards, and he was mighty yesterday, so we don't rule anything out. Gabriel Piana, Mikael Schrey looking to continue their run of form. At the moment, Josef Knopp is the net leader, because although Philipp Viskersen, Maxi Tarillon and David Lackner are 1, 2, 3, they have yet to make their mandatory stop. They've got a little under 3 minutes in which to do that before the pit window closes, and they will need to come in at that point. You can see Alain Gabet's time ticking away as the tyres are changed as well. So the question as to whether you can change tyres in the 95-second stop is well and truly answered. That is a no. Adrian Rushny in the number 40 car. He was a little bit in the wars yesterday as well. You can see him there in the red and white Porsche. Currently in 21st place. Currently in 22nd is Senna Summerbell. He is sharing driving duties with Tommy Gore, the 2 Jamaican drivers who have joined the grid this year. Although yesterday were in so much trouble with the stewards, ignoring a black flag ultimately. They had the book thrown at them and had to start from the back today, so trying to make amends for that. Getting some points as we see the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMWs just working their way through the pack. So Piana into 7th place, Leon Wasserther in 8th place. Now on board with Marc Di Fulgenzio, he's taken over from Enzo Juliet. You can see that out of the pits came the BMW. Was there contact between the 2 of them? That was Leon Wasserther. Leon Wasserther trying to fight back, but the tyres were up to temperature on Marc Di Fulgenzio at the time. And he held on to that position, which was 10th place. The Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMWs just fight each other at the moment. We've got 1 minute and 20 seconds left, and you can see how hard Marc Di Fulgenzio is pushing. He won here at this event last year and would very much like to do it again. Car 20, a drive-through penalty for not completing his penalty laps. So that is Diego Stifter. Well, it's Maxi Tarillon at the moment at the wheel. Diego Stifter is due to be taking the wheel of that. So 2nd place at the moment, still yet to do a pit stop. We've still got Philipp Viskersen out on track, and he's got 45 seconds to get into the pits. In fact, he peels off into the pits now. So Philipp Viskersen's into the pit lane. Maxi Tarillon, though, with a drive-through penalty for not completing penalty laps that have been awarded. So an afternoon that is turning out to be pretty disastrous for them. Right, we need to do a bit of a summary here. It's Josef Knopp who is leading the way from Max Kronberg. Marc Di Fulgenzio in 3rd place, having taken over from Enzo Juliet. And then Gabriel Piana in 6th place. So Josef Knopp, our race leader. There is Philip Viskersen into the pits. He will be handing over to Marcus Eicheler. He is the team boss of ME Motorsport. Great to have them on the grid this year. There is Maxi Tarillion. And he is handing over to Diego Stifter, the driver that we saw in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany last year. Now challenges for position further back through the pack. Even Eccleshick in car number 91, moving his way past the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW, being driven by Leon Vastathurer. So that is for 5th place. The Porsches once again really enjoying these slippery conditions. It is a Porsche leading. It is a Porsche in second, a Mercedes in third, then a BMW, then a Porsche, then another BMW. So what can even Eccleshick do about the other of the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMWs as he now tries to set about after Gabriel Piana. Riding on board with even Eccleshick in the replay, you can see he works his way past that BMW, and that is a position picked off there. We'll do a rundown in a second of our positions. Now the pit window is closed. So Josef Knopp ahead of Max Kronberg by, I haven't got a time yet. We'll let you know in a few minutes. You can see the gap there. So across the line is Josef Knopp. Here comes Max Kronberg across the line. And the gap is 3.8 seconds. Then we have a space back to Mark Di Fulgenzio. Then Gabriel Piana up into 4th place. But even Eccleshick just behind him. There is the 3rd place Mark Di Fulgenzio. We're riding on board with him briefly, but soon he's going to have that BMW bothering him in 4th place. So Gabriel Piana moving forwards. 23.25 minutes remaining of this race. Behind Piana is even Eccleshick in the orange and white Porsche, then Leon Vassathurer, then Andrea Jochimsen. He has taken over from Tommy Rackle. Then Leighton Fury, a little bit further back than he was anticipating. He's taken over from Max Rosam, then Tano Neumann. Mo Ritson, that's a good job getting up into the top 10. He's taken from Gianni van der Krat. So getting the strategy right, staying out on track and maximising the tyres as he did. Then it's Philip Gogelok in car 55. And then Tom Edgar in car 47. He's taken over from Joe Warhurst. They were in the wars yesterday. The driver's door of that car looking distinctly second-hand. They joined the ADAC GT4 Germany this year, and I know a lot of people in the UK are cheering them on and very excited to see the progress that they're making. And with FK Performance on board as well, they're certainly contenders for points and podiums as this season progresses. Behind them in car number 10 is Simon Birch. He's taken over from Denny Burnt. And then Emil Yerdrum in 14th place. He's taken over from Will Tregurtha. Last of the points payers is Mattis Plushkul. He has relieved Luca Bosco of driving duties. Again, they're a bit further back than they had anticipated in this race. Have been so impressive this season so far. But in the sister car to the one that is running in 3rd place, a lot of work to do if they want to move themselves up through the points. So Josef Knopp, 4.1 was the gap last time they crossed the timing beat. So very much in control. Max Kronberg in 2nd place. Josef Knopp just coming up to lap David Lackner, who's currently in the showing a 20th place on the timing screens in the 71 car. There is 3rd place, Mark Di Fulgenzio. Gabriel Piana behind him. It was 1.064 last time around. So you get the feeling Piana is closing in. So about a second between 3rd and 4th place. We'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on that. Still got a little under 21 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. A lot of the cars fairly spaced out as a result of the pit stops and driver changes and tyre changes. Our race leader now coming to put a lap on David Lackner in car 71, who is in that 20th place. In fact, I think it's Philip Dietrich driving that. I just don't think they've switched over the driver ID in the car, but he's made a route pass. So Philip Dietrich, I believe, is in car 71, and he makes room for the race leader, very respectfully leaves a gap, and he's able to get past. So Philip Dietrich and David Lackner, both young chargers here, very much cutting their teeth in the world of GT4 racing and learning the lessons. And there's no better way to learn than in what is arguably one of the toughest GT4 categories in the world. Learning is also the 47 of Tom Edgar, as he goes wheel to wheel with Simon Birch, two of the young chargers. Edgar says, "I'll have some of that, thank you very much." Slots the BMW back in front of Simon Birch, and that is for 12th position. So Birch made the move into turn one, couldn't really get it slowed down. Seems to be a bit of theme. Has a little shortcut across the grass. There'll be a lot of dirt on the tyres. Now he has another go. That's at a turn 6 on the inside, giving Edgar the squeeze. Edgar switches to the outside, trying to get that BMW round the outside, but those Porsches are very dialed in. Simon Birch has been very impressive here in ADAC GT4 Germany. Edgar, once again, having a little look. Tom Edgar, a third-generation racer from Belfast in Northern Ireland. His father and his grandfather are motor racers. His grandfather was a racer on motorcycles. His father used to race in Formula Ford. Now it is the turn of Tom Edgar to prove his worth, and with the young Simon Birch nibbling at his heels, it's the BMW that has the advantage. Looking at the replay of Simon Birch, though, finding his gap on the inside but unable to make it stick in the long term. Tom Edgar fighting for all he's worth in the BMW. So yes, it is Birch who's in front. We're waiting for the timing screens to update. There we go. Now Birch is shown as in front in 12th place. Philip Goglock in 11th place, just up ahead of them. But the Porsches once again looking very dialed in here at the Lausitzring. Tom Edgar in the 47 car down into 13th place. He's taken over from Joe Warhurst, the two drivers that have come through the Ginetta Junior Series in the UK. And there is Emil Yerdrum taking over from another British driver, which is William Tregurtha. Emil Yerdrum in car 86 for CV Performance Group, and he currently in 18th place, so not in the points. We're riding on board with 3rd place Mark Di Fulgenzio. He's got a clear track in front of him. Behind him is Gabriel Piana. He's managed to hold that gap. It was 1.6 last time across the line. We'll have a look now, and well, he's got it down a bit, hasn't he? So Gabriel Piana, 1.6 seconds behind Mark Di Fulgenzio, even Eccleshick there, so fairly spaced out. Josef Knopp well clear at the front, clear of Max Kronberg, and that is a car stranded. That is Emil Yerdrum. So his weekend has gone from bad to worse. Car 66, another that we saw coming into the pit early, but the pit stop window outside of the allotted time. So Marcus Eicheller under investigation. So many rules and regulations that have to be obeyed here in ADAC GT4 Germany. So under investigation by our race stewards. So the fighting continues. There is the Andreas Jochimsen car in 7th place, up with Leon Wasserthurer. So Leon Wasserthurer, who took over from Tim Reiter, and it's BMW versus BMW. Right, full course yellow is out, so everybody foot off the accelerator, and it's for Emil Yerdrum. It's going to be another non-finish. Didn't finish yesterday, got involved in dramas and ended up with damage and retiring, and it's going to be another retirement today for Emil Yerdrum and William Tregurtha. So William Tregurtha's record of always finishing 1st, 2nd or 3rd at the Lausitzring, well, it was broken yesterday, and it's also today that record is not going to be continued. So a pretty poor weekend for those two drivers. They got an 18th and a 20th at Oschersleben, so still yet to get off the starting line in terms of point scoring in the overall championship. There is our race leader, Josef Knopp, ahead of Max Kronberg. So full course yellow once again, while the stricken car is removed, and it's 80 kilometers an hour. The speeds are being monitored by race control, So in theory, the gaps should remain the same. Max Kronberg in that second place got together with Philip Viskirchen earlier on in the race and saw his lead stolen away by fellow Avia WNS Motorsport Porsche that's been driven, and well, at the time, Finn Zulauf and then Josef Knopp. Josef Knopp, the driver who last year was driving a Mercedes, if my memory serves me correctly, got a second place at Oschersleben when we started the season a few weeks ago. There is the 71 car. Philip Dietrich at the wheel. So, full course yellow is out. We've got less than 15 minutes remaining. Everybody, it's just like everything's happening in slow motion at the moment. So Josef Knopp leading the way in car number 31. He's had one podium, and that was the one that he had at Oschersleben. So looking not only for his second ever podium in ADAC GT4 Germany, but his first ever win, and he'd be very happy about that if he could get it. Max Kronberg and Hendrik Still, they are a partnership who won last year on the season closer at Hockenheim, and would dearly love to do it again, but with the track drying out, it does feel as though the 31 car is the quicker of the two Porsches. Mark Di Fulgentio, he's about 8.7 seconds behind Max Kronberg. Gabriel Piana, some 3.2 seconds behind them. So the gaps, as we said, as we look at Simon Birch, a good on-board shot there. He's in 12th place at the moment. So the gaps, in theory, should remain the same. When the full course yellow comes to a stop, it'll be down to the drivers to anticipate it well. And Tano Neumann looking fairly eager. There is Mo Ritson in front of him. So Mo's done a really good job, along with Gianni van der Kratz in the number 48 car. They've come through the pack and up into 9th place. Right, we are back to green flag. We said it would take you by surprise, didn't we? Suddenly, green flag is out. Right, less than 13 minutes remaining of this race, plus 1 lap. Josef Knopp leading the way. We're looking at Tano Neumann in 10th place, looking to the outside of Mo Ritson into turn 1. Looks as though Ritson has it covered off. He tries to sell the dummy to Ritson. Ritson is having none of that. Car 40 under investigation. Adrian Rushny. That is for speeding under the full course yellow. So they've clearly got some data there that might ruin his afternoon further, although he is down in that 20th place. Car 84 also under investigation for speeding under the yellow. That's Matthias Salonen in 17th place. But it is Josef Knopp who leads, then Max Kronberg, then Mark Di Fulgentio, then Gabriel Piana. That's Emil Yerdrum, who just having a discussion with the marshals and maybe just describing what had occurred, but at the moment his end, I can't hear you. It's too noisy. So hopefully we'll see what's occurring out on the track. There we go. Here is our race leader. So, Josef Knopp, right, penalty lap for cars 40 and cars 80 for speeding under the full course yellow. Well, we don't have a car 80, so that'll be car 84, I expect. So, Matthias Salonen and also Adrian Rushny, a penalty lap for speeding under the full course yellow. Not going to affect any of the point scorers at the moment. There is Max Kronberg in car 30, running on his own at the moment. Another investigation, this time for Andrea Jochimsen for potentially pit time, maybe going below it. That is significant because he's running in 7th place at the moment. It was 95 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. If he has gone below that, then he will also be required to visit the penalty box. There is first and second. Right, what is the gap? It was 2.754 last time across the line. Mark Fulgentio a little way back. Right, that's the first of the penalty box servings that is taking place for Adrian Rushny. He does that. That's effectively going to add about 5 seconds onto his lap time. It's better than a drive-through penalty, but it's still going to be mighty depressing having to drop down to no more than 50 kilometers an hour as you pass through that box. Here comes our race leader out of turn 12 onto the pit straight. So last time it was 2.754 when they crossed the line. We'll have a look now, see what it is. It is 2.552. So Kronberg has taken a couple of tenths out of the race lead, but is it enough? Piana, who was looking odds on for potentially a podium, suddenly under pressure from Ivan Ekelschik. So Piana appears to have gone about as far forwards as he can in the number 2 Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW, starting to contemplate the fact that there might be a race this year that he's not going to win, because Ivan Ekelschik is now looking pretty eager to get past him. Leon Vasserther is a little way back down the road, some 2.6 seconds. So Ivan Ekelschik is able to put a challenge on Piana and potentially not risk letting anybody else through. Josef Knopp still 2.5 seconds to the good at the front. Indications from the Porsche being driven by Maxi Tarilon to allow the back-marking cars through. So good stuff there from him. Leon Vasserther in that 6th place, coming sailing through. He's got Andres Jochimsen, who is under investigation. Another one under investigation is car 9. That's Tano Neumann. And he is under investigation as well for speeding under a full course yellow, as is also car 30. So the car in 2nd place, Max Kronberg, is under investigation for speeding under a yellow, and a penalty lap has been awarded to car 31, Josef Knopp, for speeding under a full course yellow. Our race leader is going to have to visit the penalty box, but 2nd place also speeding under a full course yellow. So 1st and 2nd, suddenly Mark Di Fulgenzio in 3rd place is looking pretty strong, because the 2 cars in front of him are going to have to visit the penalty box. The penalties are coming so thick and fast on the screen, I can hardly keep up. There are the 2 cars that were running 1st and 2nd. Mark Di Fulgenzio sees his opportunity, ducks to the inside of Josef Knopp, a new race leader, BWT Motorsport Mercedes, and it is Mark Di Fulgenzio who takes the lead of the race. Josef Knopp into 2nd place, Max Kronberg down to 3rd place. The penalty laps keep coming, so cars 9 and 10. So Denny Burnt, we've already seen that, Simon Birch, shall I say, and also Tano Neumann, we've seen that already, so they've got to go to the penalty box. So Christmas for Mark Di Fulgenzio, because the 2 cars in front of him all instructed to visit the penalty box. I keep glancing at my screen to make sure that number 18 doesn't pop up there, but no such luck for the 2 Avia WNS Motorsport Porsches. So Mark Di Fulgenzio, well, he had good behaviour under the full course yellow. A 3 penalty lap visit for car 77. Andres Jochimsen is going to have to go to the penalty box 3 times for going below the pit stop time. So that is going to be disastrous. The car 77 was looking for what would have been his best score of the season, his best score ever in ADAC GT4 Germany, but that is going to drop him well down the order. It'll promote Leon Vasserther up into 6th place and Leighton Fury up into 9th. Up into 7th, that is, and Mo Ritson up into 8th. Let's make that. So it was always his dream as a child to drive a pink Mercedes, apparently, at least that's what I'm told. But in 14th place at the moment is his teammate, Mark Di Fulgenzio, who leads the way. Josef Knopp in 2nd place. Max Kronberg in 3rd. Gabriel Piana, having benefited from the 2 cars in front of him, also having visited the penalty box. So Gabriel Piana was not looking good for a podium for a while, but now with just over 5.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining, weaving through the debris out on the straight, suddenly Piana looking like a podium is a distinct possibility. Di Fulgenzio 1.2 seconds in the lead. Josef Knopp in second place. Max Kronberg in third place. Then Gabriel Piana. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see them there on your screen. Even Eccleshick is 9.7 seconds back down the road. So you get the feeling that the 1, 2, 3 is going to come from one of these 4 cars. The question is, what order is it going to be in? Looking as they come off the tri-oval into turn 6 are wonderful drone shots that we have back this year following Gabriel Piana struggling to keep up with that BMW. And there is our race leader up the road, Josef Knopp in that second place. Max Kronberg, well, he's not done with plans for the top step of the podium. I should think that Josef Knopp will be frustrated, and Finn Zulauf, who is there in the pits watching on with Henrik Still alongside him for company, who of course is the co-driver with Max Kronberg. They are watching their 2 men in second and third place, but Finn Zulauf really thought as though he might be able to make it 2 years running, that he could win a race here at the Lausitzring. But a visit to the penalty box in the closing stages has handed the lead to Mark Di Fulgentio, the only driver, it seems, in the top 3 who kept within the speed limit during the full course yellow, and now it is paying dividends. Josef Knopp looking a little bit under pressure from Max Kronberg. I expect the team bosses will be on the radio telling them not to drive into each other. Patrick Wagner and Daniel Schellhaus, who run that team, will possibly be biting their nails in the garage. The Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW is ready to jump if either of these 2 cars slip up in any way at all. We're into the last 3.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race. Suddenly, Mark Di Fulgentio looking very strong as he breaks clear at the front of the pack. Mark Di Fulgentio, who won a race here last year at the Lausitzring. He won this race, race 2 of the weekend. Finn Zulauf won race 1 of the weekend. There's a lot of damage there for Tannoy Norman. You can see the water flowing from the front. So Tannoy Norman clearly been in the wars. The front wing of the car has parted company with the rest of that Porsche. But once again, we look towards the front. Less than 3 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Mark Di Fulgentio in charge of this race. The gap last time across the line was 1.8 seconds. Suddenly looking like Josef Knopp is losing touch with the leader. Max Kronberg looking under threat in third place from Gabriel Piana. That might be a bit of a blessing for Josef Knopp, because Max Kronberg will not be able to make too much of a challenge on the car in front of him unless he wishes to let Gabriel Piana through. You can see from the graphic on your screen, Mark Di Fulgentio has stretched his legs further. 1.975 is the gap. So looking strong for the win. Now Gabriel Piana, he doesn't like the idea of finishing a weekend not on the podium. He was on the top step yesterday. He wants to be on the podium again today. So he sees third place in front of him. How hard is the championship leader going to try to get past Max Kronberg in front of him? Max Kronberg, car number 13, the drivers in the Trophy Championship as well, with Gabriel Piana breathing down his neck. Even Eccleshick in 5th place, then Leighton Fury in 6th, Leon Wasserfurter in 7th, Mo Ritson, good job in 8th place, Andrea Jochimsen in 9th place, good job also from Philip Gogolok up into the top 10 ahead of Simon Birch. Tommy Edgar up into the top 12, good job from him. Matis Plushkal in 13th, 14th place, Marcus Eicheller rounding out the top 15, Niels Truger in the number 49 car. There's our race leader. Then 2nd, 3rd, 4th, absolutely glued together. 1.25 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. Out of turn 12 they come once again. Di Fulgentio looking to have this now very much in hand. He can afford to back off just a little bit, but he needs to concentrate. Just over a minute. Now 1 minute remaining, so it'll be this lap and the next one. Then the race will be over. Mark Di Fulgentio, less than 2 laps remaining between him and the checkered flag. Car number 9, Tannoy Neumann, with all that damage and all the fluid leaking out from the front, finally parks it up at the side of the track, and his day is over. Di Fulgentio out of turn 5, in towards turn 6, keeping that gap. Josef Knopp looking reasonably comfortable at the moment because Max Kronberg has got his mirrors full. Gabriel Piana not done yet on his ambitions to get on the podium in here, the 4th race of the season. Following on our drone, the clock into the last 15 seconds. Our race leader out towards turn 8. About a lap and a half of this race remaining, looking strong. 3rd place not looking so strong for Max Kronberg. Piana just showing his nose at the moment. Tano Neumann looks on at the damage and just reflects on what might have been. You can see the frustration in his body language. Josef Knopp still there in that 2nd place. Max Kronberg looking increasingly under pressure. Gabriel Piana knows time is running out of turn 12 onto the pit straight. He's taken a tighter line, a good run out of 12 along the pit straight. It feels like an eternity that these cars are flat out as they head along here. It's a long stretch towards turn 1. Not long enough for Gabriel Piana. He'd like to be able to dive bomb up the inside, but he's too far back into turn 1, and still Max Kronberg holding on, the championship leader in that 4th place, now running out of time. We're into the final lap. The good overtaking opportunities have passed. Gabriel Piana's going to have to try something tricky, a little bit of a nudge on the 3rd place Kronberg car. He doesn't make anything stick at the moment. He dare not put the bumper in, otherwise he may well pick up a penalty into turn 6. Off the tri-oval they come into the 2nd half of the lap. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all on your screen from our drone shot. You can't see Mark Di Fulgentio because he is 4 seconds up the road. He's broken clear of this battle. Mark Di Fulgentio, along with Enzo Giulia, who were on the challenges, almost making it onto the top 7 of the podium yesterday, but for that penalty at the end of the race. Are they going to make up for it today? It certainly looks that way. Josef Knopp in that 2nd place, but Max Kronberg, it's a last challenge for Gabriel Piana. He tries to go round the long way. Kronberg shuts the door in his face. Gabriel Piana almost pushing the Porsche into 11, into 12. It's going to be a win for Mark Di Fulgentio. Race 4 of the season is going to be 2nd to Josef Knopp. It's going to be a drag race for 3rd place, but it looks like it's going to go to Max Kronberg. And it's Gabriel Piana not on the podium on this occasion. Then a gap back to even Eccleshare. Then we wait for Leighton Fury, and then Leon Vassathura and Mo Ritson, who will round out the top 8. Great stuff. Mark Di Fulgentio kept it all together along with Enzo Giulia. The 2 drivers working as a team did a great job, read the conditions, also read the full course yellow to perfection, took the lead when the penalties came for the 31 and the 30 car. Wow, really, really good. So, Mark Di Fulgentio and Enzo Giulia taking a win. Yesterday, they were disappointed. Enzo Giulia issuing that apology after what was a fairly optimistic dive bomb on the last lap of the race. Move on the number 2 Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW, at the time being driven by Michael Schrey. They've made up for it today, though. Firmly back in the championship hunt. Car 18. It was a 2nd and a 22nd at Oschersleben. A 5th place yesterday after that penalty. But Mark Di Fulgentio was the one who brought it across the line, taking his 2nd ever win. And here we go again as we look at that 3rd place fight. It went all the way to the wire. And Max Kronberg drawing on all the experience that he had to keep that mighty BMW behind him. If he had put one wheel wrong, Piana would have been through, and it would have been no podium for them. But Gabriel Piana, Michael Schrey, 4th place. It's another good points haul. And a lot of the drivers scratching their heads and wondering what they've got to do. There was a black and white flag awarded to Gabriel Piana in the closing stages for pushing the other car, that being car number 30. As we look at the classification, subject to confirmation, the headline, Mark Di Fulgentio, Enzo Giulia, Josef Knopp, Finn Zulauf, Max Kronberg and Hendrik Still rounding out the top three. Piana and Stray, championship leaders, 4th place, ahead of Ivan Eccleschick. Ferdinand Winter, barely mentioned his name, but he did a solid job in 5th place, ahead of Max Rose and Leighton Fury. Tim Reiter, Leon Vastather in 8th place. Mo Ritson in 8th place, along with Gianni van der Krat. So they've equaled their best of the season so far. They had an 8th place at Oschersleben as well, so they'll be very pleased with that. You can see the championship. So Finn Zulauf and Josef Knopp, 22 points adrift of the championship leaders. You only need one DNF from Shrey or Piana, and suddenly it could all be turned upside down. So it is all still very much to play for in the ADAC GT4 Germany. So as the drivers into the pit lane, some good progress made by a number of names. And again, I think Mo Ritson in 8th place, started in 17th along with Gianni van der Krat, and they've proven to be a very rapid duo indeed, and that was a really good job from them. And that is going to feel like something of a victory for Max Kronberg and Hendrik Still. Max Kronberg, who is in the Trophy Championship, and that is for all bronze drivers who are over 35 years old, i.e. they were born in 1988 or earlier. And Max Kronberg will extend his lead at the top of that championship. Tano Neumann was second coming into this weekend, but that non-finish will certainly have put a bit of a dent in more ways than one in his hopes. There is Enzo Juliet and Mark Di Fulgentio. A solid job, and perhaps they'll be thinking of what might have been, because the second place yesterday would have been nice. Having said that, they would have been carrying around an extra 10 kilos of success penalty, and that may have affected their ability to win this race today. So all ifs, buts and maybes. Josef Knopp and Finn Zulauf will be thinking about that penalty that came as a result of speeding under the full course yellow. But very much in the championship hunt, and coming into this season, I think it's fair to say that Gabriel Piana and Mikael Shrey were clear championship favourites. But if I was going to go down the betting office, I probably would have put a couple of quid on Finn Zulauf and Josef Knopp as well. Having said that, there are a lot of other very potent pairings in this race, none more so than Max Kronberg and Hendrik Still for Avia WNS Motorsport, who came home in 3rd place. The sister car, one of many Avia WNS Motorsport Porsches on the grid, Josef Knopp and Finn Zulauf taking the 2nd place. But it was a solid run. They didn't get in trouble with the stewards, at least not today. Mark Di Fulgentio, Enzo Juliet in the BWT Muka Motorsport Mercedes AMG are the winners of race 4 of the season. We look at Peter Muka, the legendary team owner. He does so much for motorsport in Germany. We've been watching him also in the Prototype Cup Germany this weekend. Well, not him, but watching his cars. And a real character, an absolute legend in the world of German motorsport. And he will be delighted. Both of his cars, all 4 of his drivers, are really, really strong. There is Mark Di Fulgentio on the right-hand side with the glasses, and Enzo Juliet, I would say the shorter of the two, just trying to distinguish. Well, he's got Juliet written on the back. There's a hint for all you clue hunters. Max Kronberg and Hendrik Still, they're in the background as well, offering congratulations. A less controversial end to yesterday, but still fairly controversial. Well, you think that's controversial. Guess what's coming up next? Because after this, we're going to be heading to the Norris Ring for the first time ever. ADAC GT4 Germany is taking to the streets, and it'll be the streets of Nuremberg. Last year, we had 100,000 spectators squeezed into that tiddly little circuit with just 4 corners to watch the DTM race. And this year, accompanying the DTM, will be ADAC GT4 Germany. For these drivers, most of whom will have never raced on a street course before, where the walls are right next to the track all the way round. Very tight, very bumpy, and it will be a new experience. And we're going to really find out who shines in the two races that we have there. Well worth keeping your eye out on. It'll be the 5th to the 7th of... No, it's not. Yes, it is. 5th to 7th of July. And that will be in the streets of Nuremberg at the Norrisring. It has been, once again, a thoroughly entertaining visit to the Lausitzring. And we look again at the classification. As always, subject to confirmation. I think our race stewards will be burning the midnight oil, looking at videos, just checking everything out. But you can see the top 8 there, and it is the 9th to 16th, just scrolling through your screen as well. Andrea Jochimsen and Tommy Rackel doing a good job in the 9th, had a Goglock and Marshall Kofsky, and they rounded out the top 10. Just a shout out to SAPE Motorsport in 21st. Tommy Gore, Senna Summerbell, the two Jamaican drivers, they didn't finish the race. They have had everything thrown at them this weekend, including the rule book. It has been a steep learning curve, but it's so good to have them here. I know they are potentially the longest distance travellers to be here this weekend, and we love having them on the grid, hoping the luck will soon go their way and that they may feature in the results later on in the season. Right, 3rd place, Max Kronberg, Henrik Still taking their positions on the podium. 2nd place, so close, but for that penalty, Finn Zulauf and Josef Knopp. But they kept it all together. They kept to the rules. No penalties this time. Enzo Juliet and Mark Di Fulgentio for BWT MK Motorsport will stand on the top step of the podium. We should get a representative from MK Motorsport as well, who will join us on the podium. And here he is in the distinctive pink. And now we stand for the national anthem. A first ever win for Enzo Juliet. And a 2nd ever win for Mark Di Fulgentio. He's going to start liking this place. Bernd Barrick, sports director of Berlin Direct, presenting the trophies to our race winners. Heinz-Peter Freiberg, board member for Club Services at ADAC Berlin, who presents Josef Knopp and Finn Zulauf their 2nd place trophies. Josef, who's going to have to wait just a little bit longer for that first win. You just know it's going to come sooner rather than later. Max Kronberg and Henrik Still. Looking for their 2nd ever win as well. And BWT MK Motorsport receiving the team trophy as well. We have a momentary pause for photos, and then the champagne will flow. The Schumacher selection, in my opinion, way too good to be spraying around. I want to be drinking it, but hey, I don't have that option. Trophies held high. And now the celebrations start. Mind the trophies. Celebrations indeed. It rounds out what has been yet another brilliant weekend for ADAC GT4 Germany. It was wonderful yesterday, it's wonderful today, but you ain't seen nothing yet. The streets of Nuremberg beckon the Norris Ring, all four corners at the beginning of July. Do not miss this. It will be a sight to behold. We'll see you in Nuremberg.